Welcome to the Gifting Tribe, a mission of empowering people with big hearts to achieve big wallets. For those that want to make the most to gift back the most, I'm your host, Sal Khan, and we're here to explore the gifts of life and how to best appreciate them, which is by giving, gifting, and uplifting others. Today, we have an uplifting story of someone who was born in Nigeria and got the chance to come to America and go through all the struggles of being a first-generation immigrant and coming up through those financial struggles, being homeless at a certain time, and developing a skill set of high-ticket sales to then be able to transform his life and his family's life and be able to now impact so many others. He, in fact, has a course that has 20 or 700 students, actually, which is incredible. And this is a skill that can not only impact your life, but also lead you to incredible things. And at the end of this podcast, we actually have a gift for one of you guys that can change your life. With that being said, I welcome Datrice, the king of high-ticket closing. Appreciate you being here, brother.
I thank you so much. What a wonderful introduction, by the way. And before we jump into things, I just want to say I truly love what you do. And just getting to meet you for a short period of time, I could tell that you don't do things for how it can benefit you, but you do it for how it can benefit, not just other people, but the world.
I appreciate that.
I really love what you do, and blessings to the future guests too as well.
Well said, brother. And as you are doing it yourself, we have similar perspectives and philosophies that make us who we are and allow us to appreciate how far we've come and what the journey still allows us to achieve. With that being said, what's your story, brother?
Ooh, let's see where to start. So I know earlier you said Nigeria, but I was born in Liberia, West Africa. I came here when I was 6 years old. And the funny backstory to that is that my mother and my father actually left from Africa to America 2 years before I actually came.
Okay.
The whole embassy things and stuff like that. So they had to go to America, and they were out there for 2 years to be able to file for me and my brothers and sisters so we can come. So, that was a little bit hard growing up and things like that. I'm sure I was young, though. I couldn't really, know what it was like, but I'm sure I went through a lot of things. But it taught me sacrifice, right? My parents had to make a sacrifice to bring me from Liberia to America, with which I'm thankful for, because, man, I feel blessed every single day that I'm here. It could have been anybody in my position. So I'm truly blessed and humbled. But me coming from Liberia and coming to America, when I first got here, it was the first time in my life growing up I started realizing that I'm different from a lot of other people.
Okay.
And different as far as culture, different as far as beliefs, what I ate, how I dressed, how I talked. And people made it known, right? People started bullying me. I couldn't speak English, proper, right? So I got made fun of, got teased, got beat up, all types of stuff was going on. But I'm thankful for that, because at a young age, I started to acknowledge the gap. And when I say the gap, is the gap between me and everybody else when it came to communication. So I started taking ESL classes, right? English is a secondary language. Started learning about, hand gestures and different communication skills. So I started getting better and better. And then I got into sports through recess. I started running one day, and kids were like, "Wow, you're fast." And I was like, "Thank you." And they're like, "You want to play football with us?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then it led to basketball. So I started playing sports. And sports is a way that I was able to build rapport and started getting people to like me and trust me more and invite me places and bring me closer. And so I hung on to sports really, really hard, because I'm like, man, this is my gateway for other people to start liking me and trusting me. Yeah. So I grew up like every other kid in high school, played football, basketball, did track, I did wrestling, lettered in all 4 sports. So I took sports super heavy. And looking back at it, it was that drive to fit in that led me to be so great at what I did. And it came to college, and I went to college, and I still love sports, but at that time, my love for sports started to dwindle, because it became like a business, became like a chore, right? Going to school, taking college classes, then have to go play football after. So I started loving it a little bit less, and started figuring out that maybe this isn't the best path for me. My grades went downhill my first semester. I think I got like all D's and C's and some F's. So I ended up like failing my whole first semester, and I had to drop out. So I dropped out of school. And the crazy thing is, my parents never knew I dropped out of school.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, so I was so embarrassed to tell my parents, so I didn't tell them I dropped out of college my first semester. So mom and dad, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. You know, you're finding out now, but I dropped out the first semester. Second semester, I faked it, right? I faked like I was going to classes, but I'll just meet people after and things like that. And stayed in my car some days too as well. And I would drive back home and drive back and trying to keep up with this fake lifestyle because I was so embarrassed. I kept things in because I didn't have a lot of people that I could use as an outlet. So after the second semester, even though I didn't go to class, I said, you know what, I'm gonna give this football thing another try. Said I'm gonna go to California. And this is where things really, really, really hit me in my life. I decided, you know, that summer I'm gonna go to California, go play football at a junior college called El Camino in Torrance, California. And I went out there with $500.
Wow.
Yeah, $500. So if you've been to California, you know $500 is not gonna do you too long over there. I went up there having the expectations that I'm gonna stay with a friend and, you know, I'll stay there until school starts in the fall and I'll be good. But I got off the plane and I got a bad text message saying, hey, bro, I'm not gonna be in California. I won't be there this summer.
After you landed?
Yeah, after I landed, you know, things changed. And it was such a coincidence because I'm off the plane and I see a bad message. I'm like, what am I gonna do now? I had $500. I have $430 left because I had some food. Now I'm like, now what? All right, my plane ticket is gonna cost me $400. And I'm like, I had two decisions to make. I'm either going to have to figure it out or I'm gonna have to go back home. And I was a knucklehead. I think a lot of successful people and entrepreneurs become knuckleheads at some point in their life. Yep. So I said, I'm gonna figure it out. I went on Google, I looked up cheapest places to stay. And I came across a hostel on Torrance in Hermosa Beach. And it was $35 a night. So I said, you know what, cool, you know, maybe this is a hotel or something. I'll click there, took an Uber, got there. Now I'm at like $400. Got there, paid $35, and as I'm going into the place, the room, I get in there and I see like dorm, like
bunk beds,
everywhere, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm freaked out.
Where's my room?
Where's my room? Right? It's my first time ever hearing about a hostel. I have no friends, no family, no relatives, nobody, and I'm scared. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm 19 years old, so I'm freaked out. But then I wake up and I realize I'm on the beach. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I'm on the beach. Awesome. Maybe I'll figure it out. 4 or 5 days go by and I'm at $35 left. Whew. And now I'm like, wow, I either have to stay here one more night or I have to find some food to eat, but I'm gonna be outside on the street. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna spend my last money on a place to stay. I'll figure it out later. So I went hungry that night, which I remember crying in my bed and things like that. But I had a place to sleep one more last time. And the next day I woke up with no money, I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to stay here tonight. Got my luggage and everything. Yeah. So I went to like every single business on the whole block of Hermosa trying to find a place to work. But the problem was I was underage and I didn't have an ID. So nobody could really hire me. So I went through a lot of stuff. So I became homeless for a while out there. Slept on the beaches, slept on the benches, and tried to figure it out, called friends. So I tried to find a way for people to cash out me and get money so I can survive. Started questioning my faith a lot. Right, like, you know, God, I'm so talented. I have this burning desire. I know I'm somebody. Like, how could I be here, right? So I started going through a lot and called my brother sometimes, and he'll talk me through it. He'll tell me, hey, stay strong. But everybody in my family was going through financial hard times, so I didn't feel like it was right for me to ask them for anything. So I was just like, I stuck it in, and eventually I found a job, which was a taco spot, right next to the hostel, actually. Okay. And it was through a relationship. The guy liked me, and he was like, oh, hey, we just had a conversation. And he's like, yo, man, it's so hard to find somebody to work nowadays because, you know, everybody's lazy. Nobody wants to work. And in my head, I'm like, if he only knew I'm willing to work. So I told him, like, hey, can I get a job? And we had such a good relationship, so he gave me a job. And he didn't know I was homeless. Oh, wow. But I just told him, hey, I'm new here, so my ID's not changed yet, but I can get it changed and things like that. He's like, fine, don't worry about it. I like you, man. You'll be fine. And he had nobody to work, so I worked 18-hour shifts. 18-hour shifts? Yeah, so I opened and I closed. Oof. So I opened and I closed, and I loved it at the time. I needed it to make the extra money. But what he didn't realize was I used to sleep on the attic because he had an attic that was like an office. Okay. But because I opened and closed, I could kind of make it work, take my things in and out, and I'll be fine. So I made that work for a couple of weeks and got my first check and built a relationship with some people and eventually found a place to stay out there in California. And then I went back to Minnesota eventually and got a regular job like everybody else. Reality hit me. Had to go back to a job. Wow. When your dreams and goals don't work out, sometimes you have to, you know, settle eventually, and I did that. Worked a corporate job working at LA Fitness, selling gym memberships.
Man, you've been through a lot of life lessons in a very early age,
Yeah.
which are extremely important to building the callus that's required for a entrepreneur to face all of the waves of failures and setbacks and mental challenges and payment processors going out or this failing
Yeah.
or that failing, and you stuck through it.
Stuck through it, and it was tough. It was my pride. That was the biggest thing that was hurt. Going back to Minnesota and having to get a regular job, I felt like my pride was crushed. But what I didn't realize at the time was it was a blessing in disguise, because it was a sales job. And that sales job became easy for me because I'm like, man, I was just homeless in California. I had to figure it out. Now I just have to sell gym memberships.
Yeah.
That's a piece of cake. So I actually became one of their fastest ever grown sales managers that they ever had there.
Nice.
Selling gym memberships, I made a lot of money. Well, in my terms at that time, I was 20, 21 years old, and I made about $2K a month. I thought that was a lot of money.
It's a lot for somebody who's been homeless, sleeping in an attic.
Yeah, so, and then one day I sold one of my old friends a gym membership, and he was like, man, how much you make here? I was like, $2,000 a month. You know, I'm feeling good, 20 years old, 21. And he's like, and he started laughing at me. I'm like, what is this dude laughing at, bro? Like, he's like, man, bro, no offense. Like, there's this guy named Boniface, and he has an e-commerce online program, and he's selling it for $2,500. He'll give you $500 a commission because you're really good at sales. You can make a lot of money. You can make $10K a month. And my paradigm shifted. Wow. I was like, I'm making $30 a commission at LA Fitness, and you're just telling me I can make $500. Psh, blew my mind.
Wow.
And at this point, I'm already starting to manifest greatness. I'm looking at Les Brown and Eric Thomas and all these different motivational speakers, and
Your
Bob
mind
Proctor's.
was receptive towards hearing that, because the thing is, we hear opportunities around us all the time, but if it's like you're not in a receptive state, because you could have passed that idea along, like, oh, you have a friend, like, that's nice, or that might be right for some people, but I'm here doing sales of gym memberships.
Exactly.
You were primed to engage in that conversation and then follow through.
Absolutely. And that's why I tell people it's important to understand what a paradigm shift is, because paradigm is how you view the world and the opportunities that's in it. Oftentimes we have the wrong paradigm, so opportunities come and go, but we never recognize them, like you said.
Exactly.
So at that time, I recognized the opportunity, so I went home, thought about it for 10 hours, and next day I told my girlfriend at the time, I was living in my girlfriend's parents' basement. So I hated that already.
Wow.
Having to leave work, come home.
That
and
hurts
say,
my pride hearing it, because it's like, especially like the father of your girlfriend, like you want that man's respect.
Exactly.
And to come into his house, I think, it's just,
it was hard. It was hard.
It's hard hearing it, man.
Leaving work, I'll go in her parents' basement, and I have to say hi to her dad, her mom, her brothers, her cat, her dog before I get down into my room. So I hated that routine. So the next day I went back into work and I quit.
Wow.
I quit the next day. 24 hours later, I quit my job, and everybody was calling me like, what's going on? What are you doing? But I'm like, at that point, I was like, I can always get another job.
Yeah.
But I was sick and tired of being sick and tired at that point. I needed more out of my life. So I took the opportunity. Long story short, I went from making about 16 to 24K a year working at my job. That same year I quit my job, I ended up doing over multiple six figures, over 200 grand that year.
Nice.
So my whole life changed, and the rest is history.
Wow.
And here I am about 4.5 years later.
Congrats to what you've been through and overcoming a lot of where people would have missed the opportunity to change their life. And, it's easy to sit back and say that I wish I could be like your story or a successful individual story. We all have difficulties. It's just a matter of persisting in the face of those difficulties and recognizing opportunities. And then I have friends that see the lifestyle of me and so many others, and they cannot take that leap. They are so grounded in what if this, what if that, what if. How did you overcome? As you said, you could always find another job.
Yes, and it has to come a point in someone's life where they get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you have to put your foot on the ground. Like, enough is enough. Like, if you're going to a job you hate every single day, if you're with a spouse that you know is dragging you down, if you're around friends and family that are negative influences on you, like, it has to come a point where you say enough is enough. And I needed that inspiration. I needed that paradigm shift.
Yep.
I needed to see and believe that I could do it. And a lot of things stem from our belief. So when my friend came in and told me, hey, You're making $30 a commission here. We're going to give you $500 per commission. I had the belief at that time in myself, in my skill set, that if all I have to do is do sales and close deals, I could do it.
Yep.
And he gave me the paradigm shift because he himself had accumulated some level of success himself.
He's a proof of concept too.
Yeah, so people need to get around people who have what they want and have been where they have been.
It's very uncomfortable.
Very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Very uncomfortable.
and being able to sit in that discomfort
Yep.
is life changing.
Yep.
Because the first few incidences, the first few conversations, it will feel like you're out of place. You're a small fish around these people that in your head you're like, I'm nowhere near where these people are. And I say that because I have felt like that moving here to Miami.
Yeah.
And I am, quote, a millionaire. And sitting, next to people that have like $250,000 watches. I'm like, that's a whole different level.
Whole different level. Even today, sitting around with you, hearing you have a phone conversation with someone who's talking about a $10 million Bitcoin transfer. Like, that's amazing. Like, and Daniel G said something. So shout out to Daniel G. Says there's a point where these numbers feel normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Normalcy is like different for everybody.
Precisely.
But hearing big numbers and success becomes normal because it's achievable to you. You've seen it. You've tasted it. You have people around you.
What resonates with me about what happened in that incident where you met your friend is you were doing sales. And sales is a series of process, like building rapport and all the way to the close. Yeah. And the thing is, if you master that process, you can plug in whatever product or service into it.
Absolutely.
You were just getting $30 per commission, but delivering the same whole process.
Same thing.
And if you shift that to a product that pays you $500, a product that pays you $1,000, $5,000, there's sales deals that pays millions. So it's like once you learn a skill set, then it's about just lifting up either the product or service or the clientele that you're serving to get there. And that can be very, very eye-opening for a lot of people because it's like, I only, and like just what comes to mind right now is I only cut hair. I only charge $20-$30 per hair. What I remember is the guy who cut Steve Harvey's hair before he went bald was making $2,500 per haircut.
Wow.
And so it's the same thing.
Same thing.
So you can serve a different clientele or change up the product or service, and it's still you, it's still your time, energy, effort, and knowledge base, but shifting one parameter of it can change, adding a zero to the commission that you make. And so tell us about sales. I love sales. I know a lot of people shy away from sales. I love even being sold to because I'm like, just do a good job. I want this thing that I'm in front of.
I love that.
And I come in there looking forward to having a great sales experience as a customer.
Absolutely.
So tell us about sales, as that is the space that you have built up your name in, your legacy in, and has lifted you up.
One thing I love that you just said was sales is an experience, right? There are good experiences and there's bad experiences. And the reason why a lot of people hate sales or dislike it is, one, they're not good at it. They've never been taught how to do it. And then two, they had a bad experience.
I was just thinking that.
Right? Maybe they had a Jehovah's Witness, not to say anything with anybody, but come to the door and knock on it, try to give them a bad deal, or they saw a bill collector call their parents, sell their parents a bad deal, or someone promised them something that they didn't deliver, so they had that bad experience. So now they have a negative connotation when it comes to sales.
Yep.
So they just need to shift their paradigm and understand that sales is in everything that we do. Sales is in our relationships, right? You have to sell your spouse, right? Sales is in our kids. We have to, convince our kids to hang around good friends and not the bad friends.
Yep.
Right? Sales is in everything that we do. Sales is in ourselves. You have to sell yourself.
Precisely.
You want to lose weight? You want to become more healthy and you're unhealthy right now? You have to convince yourself to eat healthy food. You have to sell yourself. So sales is in everything that we do. And the more we understand what sales even is, and then we understand how to get better at it, life will become so much better. Because most, divorces, most problems between countries and wars come from not having good communication skills.
Oh yeah,
everything comes from not having good communication.
If you re-paraphrase sales with great communication.
Absolutely.
They're interchangeable.
Interchangeable.
But if you say, hey, would you like to develop great communication skills? Most people would be up for that.
Absolutely.
But you give them the same offer of, would you like to become a salesman?
Absolutely.
They might look at it with that connotation of, you know what, I was sold
Absolutely.
this thing and that. And there's good and bad people in every profession.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't take away from what the profession itself stands for.
Exactly.
And so tell us about, I'd love to know the details of leaving LA Fitness, quitting your job the next day, after you found out that there was a huge leap that you could take with the same skill set of sales, but getting more intense with that degree of what you're selling and the clientele that you're serving. So how did that unfold?
The crazy thing is that I tell people it's easier to make a lot of money in a shorter period of time than it is to make a little money in a long period of time.
Wow.
And you being a successful person, you can attest to this because probably your biggest days have been, your biggest wins have been in the shortest periods of time.
There's seasons to life.
There's seasons to life. So when it comes to sales, when I left my job at LA Fitness, I realized that I was working too hard. I was doing cold calling. I was have to go to give people guest passes, to go to walk at Cup Foods, to try to give people guest passes, try to convince them to work out. I was doing some hard things just to get a little bit of money in a long period of time. So when I quit my job, I started realizing that all I had to do was close deals. And there's a difference between sales and closing, right? They're similar, but there's still a difference in them. Sales is trying to convince somebody to want something, right? Closing is when they already want something, you're just helping them make an educated decision and helping them overcome their uncertainties.
That's a key distinction.
Key distinction. So when I started closing deals, I was like, wow, I don't have to sell no more. Wow. I'm just speaking to people who already want something. I just need to help them overcome their fears. And one thing that really shifted in my mindset when it came to closing deals was I realized what makes somebody successful versus what makes someone unsuccessful. And I think this is why the most wealthy or most successful people in the world are salespeople, while it's the highest paying job in the world. Because people don't take action enough, people don't overcome their fears, people don't overcome their uncertainties to ever take action and purchase something or invest into themselves or do something, so that for that reason they stay back. Salespeople, we love getting sold, like you said earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why
I'm
we
excited.
also, we do the selling, we also get sold as well,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a process of life, it's an experience. So it's super important to understand the difference between selling and closing, but it's also super important to understand both of them.
That's
And
true.
there's so much an opportunity when it comes to closing.
So when you say that you shifted from selling with LA Fitness, the memberships and whatnot, to closing, I'm guessing that you were in a position where you were talking to a clientele that was already interested in the product or service. It was a matter of helping them make the right decision for them.
Exactly. So all these online businesses that we see online, right? You guys see ads, you see these marketing gurus, posting their different offers. They're generating leads, right? That's what these ads are for, generate leads for a business. But the problem is a lot of these businesses don't have the time to close their own deals.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even have the skill set to close their own deals. And then also a business owner shouldn't be closing their own deals, right? So for that reason, they have to outsource it to a salesperson, a high-ticket closer. All a high-ticket closer has to do is when a client or prospect books a call to speak with the company, they pick up the phone, they give more information on the product and the service that they offer. They answer some questions. They let them know the price and say, hey, are you ready to get started? That person says yes, boom, you get a commission. If that person says, not right now, well, you follow up with them until you get that sale.
I see.
So most of the time they're not going to say no because they're already booking a call because they want something, right? Every action comes from a thought process, right? Our thoughts lead to our emotions, and our emotion leads to our actions. Our action leads to our results. Wow. So when I get somebody on a phone call, you had a thought process of something that you desired that led to your emotions that got you to book this call with me, so you want something. So now it's my job to help you overcome the uncertainties and the fear that you have of losing money or it not working or you feel like you can't do it or all these different objections that we have. Oh, got to talk to my spouse. I as the closer have to help you overcome these things so you can take action. And the more you overcome your own objections, the more free you are to make educated decisions, the more free you are to make decisions so you can actually excel in life. Because if you don't take action in life, you won't get the results. And if you don't go on the other side of fear, you won't get what you're looking for. So closers and salespeople are like superheroes.
Yeah, I see it just like that, because you're helping them achieve what they intended on, and helping them overcome their own fears and the uncertainties that dwell all of our minds in making any decision, even getting cold feet to marry somebody that you knew for 10 years.
Exactly.
It all comes, and you need your best friend to slap you in the face
Yeah,
to say, bro, you got this.
We all need closers around us sometimes,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Because, they can see the things that we don't have in us. So, like, it's a skill set everybody needs to learn and should learn.
Yeah.
Because you can one day, like, I've experienced raising a child before. A child's going to come up to you and say, I don't want to go to school today because people are going to make fun of me. If you don't have the skill set of being able to sell or close, you can't help that kid.
Man.
And a lot of parents, a lot of adults, which is sad, a lot of adults don't know how to sell or close. So that's why they grow up in such a toxic environment, or they pass it on to their kids.
So a few things. One, it seems like whether as a profession or whether as a skill set for anything else one is doing, they should invest in and develop their sales skills.
Absolutely. If I could write or change the education systems, I would do more classes like ESL. I would do more classes like sales classes, closing courses, and nonverbal communication, like building rapport, overcoming objections, and creating affinity. If people can start learning these things and these skill sets at a younger age, the negative connotation with sales goes away, and we can, as a culture, we can communicate with one another a lot better.
Even beyond younger age. Now, wherever you are, because even like as you're saying this, I'm like, oh man, I need to develop better skills, because there's always room for improvements.
Absolutely.
And you face all of these different situations that allows you to tap into a different technique of sales, maybe one that it was undiscovered. So many different relationships, whether it's in romantic or business or friendships, could have been saved or preserved or strengthened with a tactic of understanding effective communication, which under this umbrella, it could be called sales training.
Absolutely. And sales training is such a necessity in life, I feel like. And you can never get enough of it. Yeah. Never get enough of it. And one thing I love about sales in general, it has a life lesson behind it. And so do all high-income skills. All high-income skills have a life lesson. And one of my life lessons that I learned in sales is to be relentless.
Wow.
Right? Be relentless, and not in a negative way, but have anti-friction. Be anti-fraction, I believe it's called. Where back in the day, these Chinese monks would go to the forest and they'll kick trees and stuff like that. And the reason why they'll do it is to break the bones in their feet and their shins. Because they know that if it breaks, it's going to come back even stronger, like breaking your knuckles. So sales gave me the ability to have that when I get a no in life, or someone rejects me, or I fail at something. I'm like, man, this is just sales. I just got to get over this and keep on going.
Like, this is very strange, but like getting comfortable with the initial rejection is something so many people struggle with. It's like, a no, they just like, that's it. Well, I tried, but I think the statistic is that it takes about 7 attempts to get the average client to agree or say yes. Like, whether it's in one closing session or through a follow-up, it is a series of rejections, or this is not the right time, or I got to this and that. And then you might be able to overcome all those in one conversation. Or there might be steps to making that happen. So many other like practical incidences of, if you ask like a married couple of like, did you guys instantly fall in love? And a lot of times they'll be like, no, he tried like persistently until I had to say yes. And now they're happily after. So it's extremely important to understand the power of resilience with respect, and of course understanding that it's a mutual benefit.
Absolutely. And the reason why follow-up is so key, and the reason why it's so important to be continuous is because people have different stages when you speak to them. Right. I've closed deals because it was the right time. I've missed out on closing deals because it was the wrong time in someone's life. So it's when you follow up, you can catch people at different stages in their life.
Correct.
And things can change. I've spoke to someone before who I was supposed to close on a $30K package, but he just got divorced and lost everything. Wasn't the right time. 6 months later, everything I figured out, he got his cash flow going back, and he ended up registering. Awesome. But if I lost that relationship, I wouldn't have been able to close that deal. Yeah. So being able to understand that people change, that's something I learned too as well. Just like myself, I understand that no is not just, it's not permanent. But in life, we think of as a no as permanent.
Oh man.
It's not permanent. A no is not permanent. A no is seasonal.
You know, I'm actually so like amped up right now. I'm wondering like where I can get a no answer from and like start working out towards a yes.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna randomly like go after all my crushes right now, and just like be excited by the no and like okay until you block. No, I'm kidding. But I will find ways to build up the callus. And of course, being an entrepreneur, there's been so much of that to get to a point where you have found not only a skill set that you've developed, but you're also now training others. Tell us about your service of what you do for people that are trying to develop this skill set and create life-changing income.
Man, teaching others and helping others when it comes to sales and communication is the most fulfilling thing I've ever experienced. And this is from me coming from the little kid who was in Liberia, who could barely speak English, who got bullied and made fun of. And now I'm helping other people in communications, which is so ironic.
That is beautiful.
So a lot of times our deepest fears or our worst experiences can be the blessing that God wants us to go through. And right now for me, when I'm closing deals, I don't get that same high as I do when I'm seeing someone else close a deal now. It's like, man, it's nice to see them win. That's the high I get. So when it came to Applied Knowledge Academy, after I got my success, it was because of a couple friends. Right? A couple friends kept nagging me like, hey, man, teach me how to do this, teach me how to do this. At first, I was like, nah, man, people don't want to work hard. Like, this is hard work. Like, this is, you're going to get a lot of no's. I'm like, people don't want this. But they kept on going. I'm like, okay, he's selling me now. Okay, cool, I'll teach him. So I'm like, he understands the first rule. He's following up. So I started teaching him, coaching him, and he got a lot of success doing it. And
awesome. This
is an ex-basketball player. He's actually a Mr. Basketball, so he was an athlete.
Wow.
So he ended up, doing really well at it. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then I'm like, okay, went to a couple friends and some family. I grew a sales team of 50 people and did really well. And I said, you know what? I've helped all these different people. I've helped all these different businesses. I'm going to start my own business. Now I'm going to start a business teaching people how to actually close deals and earn income working with online business owners. So what I do now is I train them on communication skills, how to build rapport, how to have small chat, how to overcome objections, how to pitch a product, how to keep a straight conversation, how to keep the conversation going, and how to ask first level questions, second level questions, third level questions. Understanding the psychology of sales and the psychology of communication. So I educate them on all of that. And then what I also do is help them find an opportunity to use these skill sets now that they have and monetize off of it. So when you learn a skill set, you can turn it into a high income skill set by leveraging it, right? There's, if you're a good driver, you can, do Uber, right? If you're really good at cutting hair, you can open up a barbershop. Same thing with sales. If you're really good at communication and sales, you can go sell for other businesses. And if you don't have your own product or service to sell, there's tons of millions of businesses out there.
One of the things that I really love about sales is that regardless of whatever level that you're watching this is, you can apply sales to 10x your income.
Absolutely.
Whether you are dead broke and you just hate your miserable existence of a job, to you're a multimillionaire and you're wondering how to 10x that, all of that can come from sales.
Yep.
And figuring out the dynamics of that. But let's just focus on the individual that is like trying to figure out, okay, how do I become financially free from sales? Where should one start if they are just a novice in the sales space and want to begin?
The first thing I'll say is you're in the right space if you're in the sales space. It's the fastest way to make any amount of money you want to make in the world. Fastest way to make money is through sales. So you're already in the best position ever. So the first thing you should do is first identify what your chief aim is, right? What is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish here? How much do you want to make and how much do you want to earn? If you say, hey, I want to make $100,000 in the next 6 months, that's possible, right? It's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little money in a long period. So now if you want to make $100,000 in 6 months, you got to figure out, well, what can I sell to get a lot of commission? right? So maybe you want to get commission as minimum as $1,000. Let's say $1,000. If you're getting $1,000 of commission, you're probably selling something at $10,000. So if you're getting $1,000 of commission, you just need to close 100 deals in 6 months. Or you can say, hey, I'm gonna sell $20,000 packages, and I'll get $2,000 deals. Now I just gotta sell 50 in 6 months. Now you have to find the business that can produce the leads and the quality leads, right? If you solve all those tangibles, you can make money really fast. Or you can sell $1 million product and get $100,000 quick. And that sales process may take 6 months.
Yeah, it's the thing about what you just said is that because, and very much unlike a doctor or engineer who is the limiting factor, which is based on number of clients that they see, it's hard for them to 10x their income because they're the limiting variable. Where the sales individual can elevate that is by taking on the product or service that's worth 10 times or 100 times more, as well as dealing with clientele that need to be served in a unique fashion that requires a 6-month sales process.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, the reason why I love sales and closing for inspiring entrepreneurs is because you get all the rewards without the baggage. Right?
What are the baggage?
It's like being in a relationship without argument.
Oh, man.
Right? That's what sales and closing is, because you don't have to do the marketing. You don't have to do the advertising. You don't have to do the product delivery. You don't have to worry about customer service. You don't have to do a lot of things. All your only job is to pick up the phone and close the deal, and then you get paid commission.
That's beautiful. You know, what I realized is that inadvertently, the career pathway that I took after dropping out of med school, which first was farm tech and then was a chef at a bistro. But after that, I went into call centers for like magazines to senior citizens about renewing, and it was not the easiest conversations. Then went into car moving, like from one part of the country to another part.
Yep.
That was an extended sales process, to insurance.
Yep. And
then I went to generating leads for a water treatment company. No, actually, before that, it was phone sales for a water treatment company, then generating leads for that water treatment company, and then doing lead runs, like running the leads that I or someone else would generate, like in-home presentations, and really being in that uncomfortable environment where you're knocking on doors. For anybody that's knocked on doors, I'm so proud of you. Kudos to you. If you have the gumption to do that, you have the gumption to do anything in life. Nothing like getting rejected at the door. I remember one guy said, "Oh, I thought it was something important," and just closed the door. I went home. But so what I'm saying is that through the journey that I've taken, it has inadvertently, and I didn't know where it was taking me. I just needed to survive to pay the bills. But the benefit of that, and I saw this on a TikTok the other day, which was, would you rather get a high-paid wage or a commission-based limitless position? And most people chose wage because they didn't understand the commission side, or they were scared of not having a base of income. But for those that want to be entrepreneurs, sales is the way to go. If you can put yourself in a position where it's not just the wage, not just the retail X amount per hour, but rather give yourself a challenge and a skill set to develop through a job that rewards you based on deals closed. You're not just giving yourself a possibility of much higher income than you would have made per hour at that stage of your life. You're also developing the skill set that will allow you to close the big deals that will allow you to become extremely financially successful.
Absolutely. And I love what you just said, that it allows you to get the skill set. It also prepares you, because everybody that's in sales eventually starts their own business, right? So, and as a business owner, one of the main things you need is sales in your business. Every business runs on sales, right? You need to make money, right? Every business needs to make money. So when you learn sales and you learn the sales process and you eat the frog, right? You do the things that you don't want to do. You do the door knocking, you get, rejected, or whatever it may be. When you learn those processes and one day you start your own business, you'll realize how thankful you were to go through that process. Yes. It'll make you so thankful, because now you're going to put someone else through this process. So if you're going to put someone else through selling and closing, you better have some type of experience to be able to help them go along the journey Otherwise, they won't respect you for it.
Well said. Well said. You serve two types of clientele.
Yep.
Tell us about the two types of clientele, because people will want to work with you. Who are you serving?
Okay. So I work with inspiring entrepreneurs. So people out there who are like, hey, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, or I want to make more money. I want to change my careers. I want to quit my job, whatever it may be. I love working with those entrepreneurs who are inspiring, because sales is the best place to start. You're able to earn income. You're able to learn a high income skill sets. You're able to find opportunities as an inspiring entrepreneur. And the other type of clientele I work with are business owners. Business owners who are actually looking for salespeople inside of their business, who are maybe struggle finding the right salesperson, or who needs help sales managing, or maybe needs help sales training, or whatever it may be. So I work with business owners, and I also work with inspiring entrepreneurs. I'm like the middleman. I like to bridge the gap between people.
Awesome. So anyone that has either a need for sales reps, that you can kind of bring that into the sales force that you have and give them the product or service that business is trying to get out there, or entrepreneurs that are trying to scale up their product and service, or if they want to develop the skill set of learning how to close high ticket products and services, which I think is where most people are, is either they are in a position where they're like, hey, I'm curious about this sales thing. It's a bit frightening and daunting, but I know that there's tremendous amount of upsides to it. Absolutely. Without all the baggages, as you said. And then there's people that are in sales already that wish that they could do a better job.
Absolutely.
My best friend, who was at a certain time a used car salesman at CarMax. He is now a multi-millionaire.
Wow, that's how it goes.
And if you think that him working there for multiple years had nothing to do with it, you're greatly mistaken.
Greatly mistaken.
So put yourself through those challenges. Connect with people that can elevate your skill set and give you the training in sales, like Datrice can, like his academy can, like he's done for so many other individuals, and given them a skill set that is transferable across industries,
absolutely,
across time,
absolutely,
and across all phases of your life.
Absolutely, I love the across the different platforms, because I have students in Africa. I'm super proud of it. I have students in Australia. I have students in the U.S. I have students in Canada. I have students all over the whole world. Wow. India. Right? I love that, because it shows you that sales and closing it's in our everyday life. Yeah. It's not just in America. Every place in the world has sales. So, and a lot of times, the places that are less fortunate, or the people who are less fortunate, they just aren't selling nothing. They have nothing to sell, or they don't know who to go sell for them. They're just not utilizing the communication skills that they have inside of them. So one of my large goals and my large vision is to actually build schools in different countries, build closing schools. Where I can actually educate people. Because I have a student in Nigeria right now who's making an extra about $500 to $600 on a weekly basis, closing deals for an American influencer. So you can imagine that how the world's going to be changing in the next 5 to 10 years. The access to money. So if you can be in a third world country, well, I don't like the phrase third world country, but you can be in a less fortunate place, or you could be less fortunate. And the fact that you have a skill set that can earn you income, doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you can utilize that skill set, you can change your family's life.
That is incredible.
So that's my biggest thing I want to accomplish, is create communication schools all across the world, so I can empower future generations to say, hey, I want to sell, I want to close. I want people to think about sales and be like, man, this is fun again. Wow. I want to make sales fun again.
I'm lit up by your vision of what you are trying to create. It is extremely needed and necessary, and it is just the idea of somebody sitting where there does not exist these sorts of opportunities in their communities, environments, and being able to tap into something as simple as a phone, and being able to serve a need for a entrepreneur, influencer, a business in any part of the world, give them value, give the customer value, and the sales rep sitting in whatever remote corner of the world, just got a high ticket commission.
Boom.
That is a beautiful model, and one that if we could get into the hands of more people to say, look, your mind can be the tool.
There you go.
To get your family out of poverty.
Absolutely. And then it's also empowering our family members now, right? Being able to empower the people around you who are like, oh, I'm struggling, I can't find a job, or I don't have no money. Go sell.
Yeah.
Get something to sell. If you don't have nothing to sell yourself, find the people that do, connect with them, offer your skill set, get the opportunity, close a deal, and now you make money fast like that. You don't need to have money to make money. That's the misconception.
That is
right. You need courage to make money. You don't need money. You need courage. You need the guts.
You need the hunger.
You need the hunger. You need the drive. That's what it takes to make money.
You know, speaking of sales, as you were saying, how important sales was, it resonated with me that either you're selling something or you're working for someone who's selling something.
Yep.
Like,
or you're being sold.
Those are the three angles that there is. And the most profitable one is you selling something.
Yep, you sell something. Yep.
So understand that it's not like, oh, sales like icky and I don't want to be a part of that. You are in some fashion. Yeah.
You can't escape it. It's like saying I don't want to breathe air.
Yeah.
You can't escape breathing air. You're already selling. Why not just get good at it?
Yeah. Wow. And why not get paid massively?
Yeah, why not get paid for it too as well?
Man, it's a beautiful model. You've inspired a lot in just me alone to reignite the education in sales, because when I was going through that, being a sales rep, it was awesome. I studied a lot of Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold, as well as the Closer's Manual, and just I invested in sales learning, and I was at a time the top sales guy for a month, because ultimately I left, but they actually wanted me to be a sales trainer.
Wow.
And I just saw that it was a time for me to make my own leap into
Grant Cardone?
No. With the water treatment company that I was a telemarketer for, a lead generation for, a sales rep for. Then they wanted me to become the sales trainer for.
Wow. Okay.
So it was ascending in that direction, but I wanted to carve out a new life of entrepreneurship. So, man, I love what you're doing. I love the story of where you came from and how sales and closing has been a huge paradigm shift of understanding that with the same tool, you can carve out a much better life for yourself than a meager living.
Absolutely.
And there are people stuck in, whether it be selling cars. Grant Cardone was there.
Yep.
There are people that are stuck selling gym membership. Alex
Hormozy. Alex Hormozy was there.
Yeah. So across every industry, you can find people that were started out in sales, and took that same skill set.
Trump.
Yeah. and so these are names that now we recognize so easily. So where can people connect with you? B, when it comes to your service, where can people find that?
So you can connect with me anywhere, right? Like I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, anywhere. You catch me on the street, you can connect with me. I'm a very open person, I promise. I don't bite. But you can find me in any single where, and the best thing to do is just send me a DM, right? I handle my own Instagram. I don't outsource anything. I don't outsource my Facebook. So if you find me on social media at Datrice Mulsumo, DATRICE MULSUMO, I'm sure it'll be somewhere on the screen. Whatever you find it, just make sure you send me a warm DM. I'm very friendly. I'm very open, and I'm on a mission. I'm on a vision, not just to change my life, but I'm on a mission and vision to inspire and motivate other people to find opportunities and to learn and to grow and just be the best version of themselves. So I'm definitely always open for conversation.
And in the process of doing that, you're lifting up so many other people. If you guys resonated with Datrice's story of how he has overcome the struggles of his journey to get to where he is now, where he has a life-altering skill set that he's mastered and now can transfer that to you, feel free to connect with him, and also comment below what were your takeaways, because one of those individuals will be selected to receive the gift of being a part of Datrice's mentorship, his community, his sales training, so that regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of what you're doing, you can begin to apply sales tactics and closing tactics to take you from where you are to exponentially growing your life income and purpose, and really open up your horizons to what is possible when you put your mind to something that we're all a part of, and go from being sold to being the one that can do the selling, do the closing, and add value on all fronts. With that being said, Datrice, it's been a great honor having you here, and looking forward to so much more ahead.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you guys on the next episode. As always, let's continue to give, gift, and uplift the world. Peace.